Hello. Hey guys. How's it going? I'm just waiting for more people. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. My bangs are doing weird things. I don't know why. They're swoopy. They're swooping this way. It's a thing. I don't know. Hi. Okay. So we're gonna get started. We're doing piece number 2 in our 3-piece set. So piece number 2 is this cute little cactus friend here. Now, if you didn't do last week's, that's fine. You can always watch it later, or if you just like the cactus friend and you just want to do one, that's cool too. If you'll notice, my canvas is pink. That's because last week, when you were painting the background of that leafy guy over there, I suggested painting all of your canvases for however many of these classes you want to do the same color. So if you weren't here, if you didn't do last week's, or if you didn't have enough paint or enough canvases or whatever, and you have a blank canvas right now, a blank space, pause me and go paint your canvas and then come back and I'll teach you how to do all that. It doesn't have to be pink. It could be whatever you chose, but go paint and dry your background, just a flat wash of color, whatever you choose, if you haven't already. But I did that so that we can kind of, because it's a fairly simple painting, but there's a lot of I don't want to say perspective, but with this still life and shaping with shadow and highlight and all of that. So I wanted to make sure we had time to do that. I prepped my canvas and I would like a cookie. I shall give you a virtual cookie. I don't have it. Actually, I do. I have some Glutinos, gluten-free Oreos that I would share with you if I could. Okay, so for class today, you don't need black. If you look really, I don't know how color is rendering for you guys, but if you look really closely in there, that's blue. So we're gonna do all these paintings without black because I feel like when you add black, it kind of it just changes the contrast of everything, and I liked these kind of lower contrast vibes for this one. So we need white, we need red, yellow, and blue, or, well, actually, not or. If you have green paint and you'd rather have green paint as a base and that you add blue and you add yellow too to make different shades of green, that's cool too. I've been painting other things today, so my palette is a bit of a mess. I've compromised my white already, so I'm going to give myself some new white. As far as what brushes you need, I think a straight edge is going to be best for our, I don't know, this might be our first three paintbrush painting. If you have 3 different shapes, if not, you can absolutely make do with 2. So this one, what did we name him? We named him Buck. So Buck, we kind of need him because the angled straight, can you be angled and straight? Angled flat end of him is going to be really important for getting our little lines in there. You should also have a bigger brush, particularly to just get the larger washes of color in there quickly. And then I think I'm going to need, personally, I like my Spencer type brush, the long and skinny guy, to get those swoopy lines of my pot. So big brush of any sort, any shape, size, whatever, just to get color down fast. And then our 2 detail brushes if you have something like these. You'll also need something to rinse your brushes in and something to dry your brushes on. All right. And something to drink, alcoholic or otherwise. Okay, so let's get started. We need red first, I think. I'm going to give myself some red. If you see here, I do have green paint. I might end up using my green paint, even though I didn't tell you guys to get green paint because I'm almost out of blue. I need to do a paint order. Let's see how much blue I can get out of here. Okay, so our primary colors, red, blue, and ooh, I'm almost out of yellow too. Red, blue, and yellow. Let's see, can I get any more yellow out of this tube? All right, that's just about done. When you get down to the very bottom, well, first of all, you can cut your tubes open and like scrape them out, but I'm not gonna do that right this second. I'm just taking the cap off and getting all that I can out. Try not to be wasteful if I can manage. All right, so I'm gonna take one of my detail brushes. I think I'm gonna use Spencer just for now. And I'm gonna grab some red. Now, if you're like just coming in, I don't know, if you're just coming in, you probably watched from the beginning, but if you're just joining live, if your background isn't painted yet, go do that. Pause me and come back, okay? But we're gonna go in first with kind of a rough sketch of our pot. So I've got my skinny Spencer type shaped brush, and I've got just some red paint. And so you kind of have to decide. I had it run off the canvas, run off the page there, so I didn't have to worry about like a tabletop and the bottom and all of that. But you do have to kind of decide how big you want your pot, and how big your pot is going to kind of determine how big your cactus is. So I think I'm going to put the top of my pot right here, and I'm just going to do like a smirky smiley face right there, like right in the middle. If you have a different vision and you wanted to do like two pots with two different size cacti, you can do that as well, but I'm just gonna do one pot and one cactus. So smirky smile right there. And then I'm gonna move down a little bit, just like an inch or two, and do another smirky smile. And then you can kind of cap those off with like a little bit of a curved line here. Just give it a little bit of a curve, not like nothing major. Honestly, even if you make it a straight line, like when you paint it in, you can curve it out, then it's no big deal. And then we're gonna go in from this edge, this little curved line that we just did, we're gonna go in just a little bit and pull it down on a little bit of an angle. And we're going to be, see, like that didn't go straight at all, but that's fine. We're going to be painting over these lines. So that's your pot. And you can just kind of give yourself a little bit of the background line too. So you'll go over here and you'll do a frowny face to kind of match your smiley face. Now, that was kind of deep. How do I explain this? Okay, here's how I explain it. So when I say deep, you wouldn't, if you're looking head on, something here, this is my olives, but it's primer. If you're looking head on a jar like this, you really don't see inside. But let's pretend we're looking down a little bit. See how you see a little bit of that mouth? Now, how much I did right here kind of looks like you're looking like real down on it, like you can see a lot of the mouth. So I would urge you to kind of use that sparingly. And I can fix that pretty easily. So the way that I would fix that is to say, all right, well, then I'm just going to bring this line up higher. So if you make your mouth of your pot too pronounced here, you're just going to make the neck, so this part right here. I'm filling this in so that you don't see the other line that I did. But yeah, we're gonna paint it in now, so no big deal. I'm going to switch to my bigger brush for my wash of color for this pot. Now, we're gonna make this like terracotta color, which is kind of brown, but on the reddish side of brown. So it's gonna be a significant amount of red paint. and significant amount of yellow. We're going to make like almost an orange. And then just a drop of blue. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue and mix that in there. And it's just going to muddy up that orange enough that it looks a little bit brown. And then I'm going to go in and fill this in like so. Oops, I got a little wayward there. As you fill in your pot, it might grow a little bit. That's kind of what happens when we paint anyway. Like things get bigger as you fill them in. No big deal. I'm just gonna skip a little bit of space here where my line is because I'm gonna want to still be able to see that line. And in your terracotta brown, if you've got some streaks of red, some streaks of yellow, even streaks of blue, like that's fine. I like using color to create different textures. I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm going to purposely put in all sorts of different colors, but for now, that's fine. All right. Now I'm going to do this neck portion up here. So this is like the mouth, the neck, the body, mouth, neck, body, kind of makes sense. I don't know if those are the technical terms in pottery land, but oof, my brushes, man, they're dirty. All right, let's see here. You might look at this and be like, this is disgusting. Like the color, because the color it's weird. You're mixing a brown with your three primary colors, and it's not a cute color at first, but that's why we add all of the details to it. And it should extend just a little bit past the body. That's like how a pot works. It's got that cute little lip. All right. And like, I don't know if you could tell, but this is super messy. It's fine. Now I'm going to just follow the back part of the mouth with this color. Like so. All right. So now what you're going to do, once you've got your pot, it's kind of filled in, kind of rough. It's not looking too hot right now. What we're going to do is we're going to take some black. Nope, I lied. We're not using black. We're going to make a shade that looks black. I'm going to grab some blue and some red on my brush that's already dirty with this brown. And you're just going to make like a darker kind of purpley brown. So I didn't wash my brush. I'm just creating like a darker purpley brown, and this is where we're going to get this dark shade that works for our soil. I mean, you could just use straight up blue. Like you could really make this kind of like a pop art thing, and just use funky colors. I'm totally here for that too. But all right. So now our inside of our pot is good. And I'm going to leave my big brush in there. because I got my wash of color going. How are we doing so far? Okay. I feel like we haven't, I'm trying to remember, but I feel like we haven't done like a real still life like this. I wanted to do a fun still life. I had this like orange, like cornucopia thing, and it did not look good, so we're not doing that. But this is kind of cool. The reason I think doing like some sort of still life is really important because it really teaches you how to like make shapes with light. Because I mean this, yeah, it kind of reads like a pot, but it's really flat and two-dimensional. But we want to make it three-dimensional with light and shadow. And that doesn't, I mean, we've put highlights on trees and things like that, but light hits inanimate objects in a different way. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but I think you guys get it. Okay, so I'm gonna do, let's see, I think I'm gonna do some shadowing first. So I went back to Spencer, which is what I used to do the outlining of it. And I'm gonna grab some blue and red and kind of like this shade that I put in here, but maybe even more blue because I kind of like that the blue stands out just a little bit. And I'm gonna go create a shadow here. Now we're not necessarily outlining this. We're just kind of creating the look that there's a little bit of lip there and that lip is creating a shadow under it. So I'm going to take that blue-red combo, whatever kind of colors you mix together to get something deeper. And I'm going to kind of blend it down my pot a little bit so that it's not like a super harsh line. So I just took that brown on my brush again, and I'm mixing it into that darker blue shade to kind of pull it down. So we started dark, and now we're blending down into our pot with our original pot color to kind of soften that line. And you can go back and add like another distinct little sweep of blue maybe, if that's your jam, if you want to darken that up even more, or even a sweep of red. All right. So now, still working with this brownish kind of color here. I have run out of it, so I'm making myself some more here. I think I ran out of red. I need more red. Let's see. Then we're going to go with this brownish color, this like terracotta brown. And we're going to go clean up this back line here of our pot. So I'm just going to go with my skinny Spencer brush and clean this up. Now, it doesn't super duper matter what most of this looks like because we're going to put a big old cactus in front of it. But I know it's there, so I want to clean up at least the parts that I'm planning on showing over here. Get a nice clean edge. And we can clean up the front line a little bit too. Now we're going to be highlighting this. So pretty much by cleaning up the front line here, what you're doing is putting the pot back in front. I know that makes weird sense. But this part right here is in front of whatever this darkness is that we painted in the middle there. So by cleaning that back up and putting that line back in and having it be nice and sharp, that says, hey, this is in front of this dark stuff. And that's how you change the perspective. All right, so I just got some of this color on my brush, and then maybe I want to add some yellow. This is kind of fun. I just want there to be like lots of different colors happening. This is not. Okay, so we've kind of cleaned up our edges there. Let's clean up this outside edge a little bit. So I'm going to clean up this outside edge of my neck, the neck of, not my neck, you know what I mean, the neck of my pot. And then if you have edges on the body of the pot that you need to clean up, now is a good time to do that as well. And you can just softly blend it into the body. We're still going to be doing a ton of contouring to our pot. Okay. So now I have nice, clean outside, well, except right here, but I'm going to put my, my cactus in front of that. So you have nice, clean edges. Your pot shape is done. Okay, now let's make it look 3D. So what we're going to do, you don't have to clean your brush. If you want to, you can. I will just for the sake of it. I'm going to grab some white on my brush, on my Skinny Spencer brush, and I'm just going to follow this front line here and give myself a little highlight. And my brown is still wet, so it's going to mix in, and that's fine. And then you can kind of take your white brush, your brush that has some white paint, and grab some yellow and maybe even a little bit of red. And we can just kind of lighten this up here. Now, watch what I'm doing because I'm doing really streaky kind of vibes. And you can mix those colors however you want. But I've decided that my light source is like over here. So there's light, it's coming this way. This side of my pot is going to be lighter. So you could do that with yellow. You can do that with taking some white and mixing it into the brown shade that you've got. You could do a little bit of both. But you're going to pull the lighter color from this side here. And I think like streaks of yellow and red and white are lots of fun to do this. And you're not going to put so much here on this side. And you can do the same thing on the body of the pot. So I'm just going to go down this side here. Give me a little bit of a highlight. And then I'm going to pull it across. And we're going to mimic this shape here, the shape of the neck. We're going to mimic that in our brush strokes. So I'm going to kind of swoop this way, grab some white. And you can do this, like I'm doing this with Spencer, and I'm like, it's not really doing it for me. So you can go back, depending on the size of your pot, you can use whatever brush makes sense to you. I'm going to go back to my big brush, because I think longer sweeping brush strokes here work better for me. Yeah. And you don't have to go like all the way up to that shadowy line. You can kind of chill that out there. But the colors you use here are really up to you. Don't be afraid to grab some blue. I have some blue on my brush right now, and it just added some fun colors. If you're losing the terracotta of it and that bothers you, first of all, there's nothing wrong with it if you are. But if it bothers you, go grab some more red and some more yellow and add some orange back in here. So again, I'm just concentrating my highlight on that side. You can grab some more white and just do some short flicks here. I'm still kind of curving it. And this is really where you get to play and have fun. As long as it's like kind of lighter on one side, you can do whatever colors you want. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like that. Now we're gonna put the shadow on the other side. So I washed my brush off. I bet you guys were like, I thought we were just gonna paint a cactus. Sorry. So I washed my brush off and I just got blue. I'm just gonna go in on this side and do the same kind of motion, maybe a little bit less, because I don't necessarily need like a lot of shadow. I'm just gonna slowly kind of pull it across. If it meets your lighter color, that's fine. If there's some space in between the blue and the lighter color to work with, that's fine too. I'm kind of pulling back and forth here. As you know, the best way to blend is to just kind of go back and forth, but do it really lightly, because if you've got, I mean, the awesome thing about this is we don't have to worry about it getting muddy and brown, because that's kind of what we're going for. So as you go back and forth, I'm going to go up into the neck of my pot too and do the same thing. Now I may have lost this line right here. I don't know if you guys can see, but it kind of blends in because I did the same shadow here as I did here, and now I can't see where my rim, like the line between my neck and my body. So I just grabbed some blue and some red and made that dark purple on my brush. I'm just gonna go back in and separate that a little bit again. Really small details. If you skip a couple here and there, not a big deal. All right. So I'm gonna wash that blue out of my brush. And if you're struggling here, if you are having trouble with the blend, what I would suggest is have very little paint on your brush, especially with the shadow. The highlight, you can kind of like blend and blend and blend until it gets to be a color that you like. But with the shadow, with that blue, start with less paint on your brush. So if you put a lot down there, wash your brush off and go back in with a clean brush and just kind of soften that line if you need to. Now I'm gonna go back and add some more highlight type details. So I've got my clean brush. Again, it doesn't matter if you use the Skinny Spencer brush or your big brush. It depends on whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you feel like you can control best. So I'm gonna go in. I don't wanna have a lot of paint on my brush. And I'm gonna just like almost dry brush over my highlighted areas and see how it gets that like streakiness. I like that. I don't know why. It isn't necessarily indicative of a terracotta pot, but I particularly like that kind of highlight. I'm gonna do a little bit more up here, maybe. I do want a little bit more of a solid highlight here, maybe. I don't know if I like that. That might be too much. Yeah, I'm gonna grab some more of my brown and soften that back up. Yeah. See, we're just playing. And if you want to grab some more blue, it's really just fun to play with color, especially on this like pot. I mean, yes, is that terracotta orange kind of the expected color for a terracotta pot? Absolutely. But play around. It's fun. Do something different. All right, I have just one more little thing I want to do, which is going to have me go back to my Spencer brush, so my little detail brush. That's just what I'm comfortable with. I do want to clean this back up with some white. That was probably not what I wanted to do. Nope, don't like it. But see, like, that's what's fun about playing, is you can do something and be like, nah, not for me. And that's also like how you kind of, like, if this is a thing that you want to keep doing, if you want to paint more, that's how you find like what you like to do and what style you like to paint in, by just playing. So don't be afraid to do that. All right, so I've got some like weird colors on my brush. I don't really know. And I'm gonna grab just a little bit of white to mix in and make a lighter brown on my brush. And I know this is gonna be like in shadow, but it's still like really intense for me back there. And I don't really want that. So I'm gonna go back in to the back of my pot and just soften that up. It was just too dark for me. Now that I did all of this highlighting and stuff, that background color just didn't work for me. So. Okay. Cool. I like it. I dig it. That was like a lot of shading and creating shapes and all that. So does anybody have any questions? We're going to give this a little second to dry before we go in with our cactus. So take your time if you're still sculpting. But here, I'll bring it closer so you can see. I don't know if you can tell the color here, but like there's blue, there's green, there's purple happening. Like it's really fun. It's even more colorful than the original, which I don't mind. If you are like, no, I wanted this, I mean, you can still see that there's multiple colors in there, but if you wanted something more of that terracotta, I would say utilize more red and orange, yellow to make orange. That will give you a little bit more of that terracotta. It kind of got away from me here, but I like it, so I don't mind. All right. I don't see anybody with questions, so that either means I'm doing a good job or I'm doing a terrible job and you guys are too distracted to comment. Either way, we're going to paint a cactus. So I'm going to, let's see here. I'm running out of paint. Well, I've got like all my little guys, so I can always switch to the little guys, but I want to use up what I've got here first. So let me get some more of this yellow. So you're going to need blue and yellow and possibly green if you have green paint and you'd rather just use green. You're still going to want to mix the blue and the yellow into the green to create darker blue with the, darker green by adding blue and lighter green by adding yellow. But yeah, that's obviously an option for you if you have green paint. So go find those things, those colors. Slow down. Okay. Well, I'm pumping paint, so you have plenty of time to catch up because I'm struggling with my paint tubes. All right. I think This blue is just about done. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of green just in case I do run out here. Okay. All right. So for our cactus, now if you want to like Google a cactus and find a particular shape, you can. I just went with like big blob with 2 little blobs. It's really just personal preference what shape you like. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab my big brush, my bob brush. I'm gonna clean them off. And I'm gonna mix myself a like medium to kind of yellowy green. So I'm gonna grab my blue and a bunch of yellow and maybe some white depending on what kind of yellow you're using. Ooh, that's a really pretty green. Okay. Probably didn't mix enough of that, but that's really pretty. Okay, very important question. I'm not liking Criminal Minds season 6 so far. Can I skip it? Oh my god, no. Season 6, yeah, season 6 is actually really important. Really important. Are you up to, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but no, you cannot skip season 6 of Criminal Minds. There's a couple of really important things, one of which one plot they drop entirely and then don't pick back up until season 8. But no, you can't skip season 6. I'm sorry. That's not how this works. You know, when the Doctor Who reboot started, I didn't watch it immediately. I watched it like, I don't know, maybe like 3 seasons in or whatever. And my friend got me to watch it and she's like, the first season sucks. It's really bad graphics, really bad, you know, just skip it. And I'm like, what? And now I'm like, can you imagine if I skipped it and didn't ever meet Rose? Like, no. So no, you can't skip season 6. Okay, so, but I digress. Cactus. My big main body is going to be like a upside down U, like a horseshoe. I do think it's maybe easier if you decide how tall you want it to be. So give yourself a little goal there and then kind of swoop it down. I'm going to make it a little smaller probably than I think I want it so that I have room to grow it. And then you can just kind of fill it in. Where it ends though, like in your pot over here, we don't want it to go all the way to the front of the neck. We want to leave a little bit of space. I think you guys can see that. So don't have it go all the way to the front of the neck because like in theory it would be planted in the middle. So we want it to have some space. Oh no, is this class going to be where we talk about Doctor Who all class instead of Criminal Minds? I haven't watched it in a couple years because, well, first I didn't have BBC for a while. I don't think I have it now. But Matt Smith is my doctor, and I did not like Capaldi, and then like Claire was in everyone's timeline, and I got too confused, and I just couldn't do it. So I just decided to leave well enough alone and just enjoy my David Tennant and my Matt Smith years, and that's about it. Also, I think I saw that they're doing this. I don't know. I haven't been like reading where to watch these things, but I've seen that there's like some Doctor Who something happening, like not a reboot, but like an offshoot kind of like digital thing. I don't know. I know nothing of what I speak of, but I saw that they were going to do something with Rory, and I always said that he should have his own, like Rory and Amy should have their own spin-off, and it should have been called The Last Centurion, because that would have been amazing. I just to focus on those years where he sat there waiting. Oh my God, that'd be all of it. All things. Thank you. All right, so this green is pretty darn dark. So I'm going to go back in with a little bit of white now that I've filled this in, and I kind of like the shape-ish. Might grow it a little bit. I'm gonna go back in with some like yellow, white, green stuff on here, and I'm just gonna brighten and lighten this up a bit. I'm streaking it in, and I didn't really do it here. You can, if you want, focus the lightest part on this side since that's where the highlight on the pot is. Also, in general, the top of the cactus would be lighter because light usually comes from above. So I'm just kind of lightening it up from here. Which you really can't see. There's a big glare there. Okay, well, just trust me that it's lighter on top. All right, so now I'm gonna stick with this lighter, brighter green theme. I'm gonna give myself my little outside blobs. It doesn't really matter what shape they are. They could be oval, round, whatever you got. Mine are kind of ovally. And you can make them two different sizes and shapes because that's like a thing that would happen in nature. They would be different. All right, I'm going to retire my bigger brush here. And I'm gonna go back to my Spencer shape brush to get these edges a little cleaner. Okay, that one looks good. Let's clean this guy up. Now we're gonna be doing some shading and shadowing again because we need that in order to help separate the main cactus blob from its little army kind of blob friends. So what I am going to do though first is I'm just going to let this dry for a second, and I'm going to clean my brush off, and I'm going to put the cute little flowery guy right on top there. Not all cactuses have it, and if that isn't your jam, you can skip it, but I think he's kind of cute. So I clean my brush off. I'm just going to go into the red with my Skinny Spencer brush. And I'm just going to do a little boop, boop, boop. However many boops you want. And just give it a little. I'm just using the shape of my brush to create these little rough flower petal looking guys. Right on top there. Just a small little flower friend. It's just a little flower friend. Just like the shape of your Spencer brush, like just boop, 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 kind of using it like a stamp. All right. So then with my Spencer brush, I'm going to wash that red paint out. And I'm going to kind of start giving these guys a little bit of separation and highlight and shadow and all that. So I'm going to grab some blue. And with the blue, I'm just going to add a little shadowy darkness where, wow, the glare is really bad. Let's see. That's a little better. So I'm just kind of framing this guy and I'm adding some shadow around the bottom. And now what that's going to do is that's going to show you that this is like in shadow because it's toward the bottom. But I'm also pulling it along where this little arm guy meets the main body of the cactus because we want to help separate those two. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm mostly pulling it along the edge where it meets the main body of the cactus, but I'm also pulling it across the bottom. And then I'm just going to, you can wash your brush off or you don't have to. I'm just going to highlight the tops of these guys. So I'm grabbing some yellow and some white and making a lighter, brighter green. And I'm just going to lighten up the tops of these little guys. I'm kind of following the shape still, this little rounded oval shape. Let's see if I can reduce that glare. There we go. So there's shadow and then highlight. And if you wanted to, you can kind of clean your brush off and really soften that so you can kind of blend those two together. If you like having where it really stands out, then you don't have to soften it. I don't really have a preference either way. I think both styles are really cool. When you have like really clear, sharp shadows and really soft blended shadows, I don't mind either way. You can also, maybe with some darker green, like taking the green and mixing some blue and making a darker green, you can go into the bottom here and kind of shadow, add some shadow to the bottom and kind of pull it up so it is soft. And that also kind of makes it so that you don't have this like sharp line at the bottom of where your cactus is like flat on the dirt. You're kind of like feathering that line a little bit. It's a really small detail, but it's nice to not have that really sharp line. Okay. So this one, I ended up with a much like skinnier, taller cactus, but that's fine. It's never going to be the same twice. No big deal. All right. So now, once you've got some shadowiness and highlight and all of that happening, and actually, I think I want to add a little bit more lightness to the top here, because I want to make sure that my little pokey guys that I do really stand out. So I'm just going to lighten up a little bit. I'm going to be careful not to get the red from my flower, but I just want to lighten this guy up a little bit here. Okay. And now I'm going to pull this in just a little bit closer for these little stabby guys. I don't know if that helps, but I'm going to go to this brush, flat edge. I call him Buck as of last week. So I'm going to just dip him in the water, make sure he's clean. And I'm going to go into just blue. I just need blue. And you're just going to kind of smush it on one side, smush it on the other to get it loaded up with paint, but still keep your bristles together and nice and sharp like that. And then you're just going to stab. So boop, boop. And it's kind of cool to do it when your paint is wet, because then you get this really like rough textured one where it's not perfect. And I prefer that, honestly. The harder you boop, the harder you press, the thicker your little stabby guys are going to be. Also, make sure they go in like different directions. And you can do as many or as little as you want. I don't think you need a ton. Like, you don't need to cover your cactus in it, even though a real cactus would have them everywhere. I think, like, visually speaking, it's kind of more fun to just have them sparingly. But just make sure they go in all sorts of different directions and angles. And some are going to come off the edge, but some are going to be in the middle here, and that's fine. And you're just going to do that until you feel like I've got enough stabby guys on here. Is there ever enough stabby energy? I don't know. But that's it, guys. Once you've added your little pokey friends, you've painted a cactus. Don't forget to sign your artwork. If you're doing it all, like if you're doing all three on one thing, you don't have to sign each individual one. But there you go, cactus friend. We are going to do the third and last one. We're going to do that one next week. And then we will take a break from a series and do individuals for a while. But let me know if there's anything in particular that you see online that you like, that you want to learn, or any particular like technique or something. I tried to make it like an interesting combination, or not interesting, like an even combination of like, these are actual painting skills I'm showing you versus this is just a pretty picture that you might actually want to hang in your house. So let me know which one you prefer, or if you like that I'm combining and doing both. And yeah, we'll go from there. And please let me know if you're still having fun, because if you're not, then I want to know so that I can make it more fun. Okay? I love you guys. Mwah.